Miami wins 5th in a row last night against the Portland Trail Blazers. Looked a little dicey at halftime there until DeAndre Ayton went out. But they are now 5th in the Eastern Conference, 8-2 in February, slowly climbing up as the zombie Heat tend to do here. And so, Rob, I ask you, is this win streak, is this recent success for Miami anything?
Definitely. And I think for a lot of teams out there, 10 games, even a solid month might be just that, and we keep it moving. The Heat are not one of those teams. We know that this core can be dangerous. We know that any sign of life is something we have to take seriously. And we know that Jimmy Butler being in Fall Out Boy's latest video is a pretty good omen for them, I think.
Whoa! I didn't hear about this.
Jimmy, Emo Jimmy back in full effect. He's got a rhinestone cowboy thing going on.
Wow.
Look, how do you see that and not think this is a real contender?
Is this like the culmination of everything in your life right now?
It's all been building to this moment. Well, a lot of hair swooping, a lot of very tight black band t-shirts have led me right here, Justin, in front of you, begging you to take the Miami Heat seriously.
So is this what Jimmy's doing when he's not playing games?
Oh my God, dude.
He's just been preparing for this role?
No, but seriously, I looked it up the other day and he had missed 20 out of a possible 58 games. Like, wow.
Yeah.
He's missed so much time. Obviously, the little suspension with the little skirmish notwithstanding, that's whatever. But he's missed so much time. But when he's playing, he's kicking ass. So I don't know how you don't take what the Heat are doing seriously when you consider the way they're playing defense, which obviously is always going to be a hallmark of this team. And if Jimmy Butler's healthy, reasonably healthy, they can generate quality offense, right? Like, they're not going to blow the doors off of people. But I think because the Heat are not just a team, but they are a system. They're a program. They bring consistency to every single thing that they do. And so Jimmy being healthy, I think you got to take these guys seriously. And let's face it, this team went to the finals last year, right? Yes, they're missing Max Strus, your brother. They're missing Gabe Vincent, but I think they've done a decent enough job of replacing some of those pieces, and I think they're primed for a run, man.
Yeah, the thing that jumped out to me last night against the Blazers was just how the ball just pings around with these guys. The amount of guys that they have that can dribble and pass, some of whom can actually shoot. I mean, a couple of them are a little shaky, but the amount of just talent up and down the entire rotation at this point, it's one thing if Bam Adebayo dribble drives and kicks it out to a shooter. We're kind of used to that at this point, even though it is wild to say for one of the best centers in the league. It's another thing to see Duncan Robinson now do that with confidence. He's doing that pretty regularly at this point. And then it's another thing on top of that to see Nikola Jovic, a guy that we didn't know anything about, might be the tallest guy on this damn roster, functionally plays point guard. I guess they just kind of throw out titles for some of these guys, but not only get the ball moving, but then relocate and actually hit a shot there. It's just every single guy here is a little bit more varied and versatile than I think that what they had last year. So if you're going to be encouraged that they could be even better than what they were last season, I think it's that.
Joe Cronin should be punching the air right now, Rob.
So much regret over not getting Jovic in the building.
Well, can I ask you this question, though? Because I do think this brings us back to the bigger picture conversation with the Heat there. I do think, they are better on the margins here. I do find myself wondering as I'm watching some of these games, they are seemingly relying on Jimmy doing the superstar shit in the way that he did last finals. On the one hand, you could say, well, this is what Jimmy Butler does at this point. On the other hand, you could say, well, if he can't do that, if he's hobbled like he was later in the postseason, is Rozier really the guy that's going to step up and do that? I mean, they have more of these guys, but I'm not sure they really close the gap in terms of having a secondary star, Rob.
Yeah, they still don't really have that. And you get flashes of it from, Jaime Jaquez in particular. Bam will have great scoring nights. And I think it's had a pretty good season overall. The thing is, though, they're getting back into that plug and play Miami Heat way, where guys are out of the lineup all the time. Even, as you mentioned, was that suspension game. Jimmy's out against the Kings.
And
Jovic is out. They just won that thing going away. And that's very Miami Heat shit. It's also very Sacramento Kings shit. Who they have lost to
competition. Yeah.
Oh my God. They have lost to every team missing players this season. It's getting a little concerning. But seeing that from Miami is reassuring because they have made moves to kind of shore this thing up around the edges, especially at point. getting Rozier, getting DeLon Wright, those are really important moves for them relative to what they were and really what they weren't getting out of Kyle Lowry earlier this season.
Yeah, I think the only problem for the Heat is secondary scoring is not the kind of thing I think you can do by committee, right? Like when teams are rolling out Kyrie Irving and Devin Booker, and these are the secondary scorers, or Jaylen Brown, and, the Heat are like, it's Tyler Hero some nights, it's Jaime Jaquez other nights, it's Bam Adebayo. I don't know that you can, have that role be filled by a platoon, if you will. And so,
But didn't they just do that and get to the finals?
I know.
They kind of undercut any sort of like rational thinking, though.
Yeah.
So they're sitting here 19th on offense in this stretch where they're 8-2, and yet here we are talking about how good the ball movement looks on their offense, right? I think the other concern is also just size. Like their center rotation right now is Bam and Kevin Love, and that became an issue farther down the line in the playoffs last year, especially against Nikola Jokic. I mean, the East is a little bit downsized at this point because Embiid isn't there. I mean, maybe the Cavs and whatnot. I don't think a lot of teams have the offensive juice plus the size in the way that you would be worried about if you're Miami, but I think farther down the road, it could be an issue. But the defense is rock solid again, second in this whole stretch that they've been on.
Yeah, that's where I think the big growth has been, going from kind of a mediocre defense for a lot of this season to now we're back at Miami Heat standard elite defensive play. And it's getting in some disruptors. I think DeLon Wright is really helpful in this way. He's a guy who, if you make him your stopper, you're going to be setting him up to fail. But if you let him play in a system with other good defenders, he's going to gum up space. He's going to jump lanes. He can be really awesome in that sort of role. And so you're getting a lot of those kinds of contributions, like a little DeLon Wright here. Even a little Jovic is going a long way right now. Like his defensive minutes have been solid. And to your point, Justin, he gives you a size that you're just not getting elsewhere on the roster. So not a perfect player, as you can tell from the fact that he either basically starts or is out of the rotation right now. I've no idea what his role is on this team, especially when everyone is healthy. But you're getting a sense that when guys are coming back into the lineup for Miami, these little bits of defensive addition are starting to be cumulative. Like they're starting to all come together.
And we say it all the time, like a weakness only matters in so much as your opponent can exploit it, right? And what Eastern Conference team do we have confidence can exploit it? I think the Knicks, they have a nice big man rotation in Hartenstein and Mitchell and Julius Randle. And those guys are really physical guys, right? Like they're going to try to beat you with their size, but I don't think anybody's like, oh, the Knicks are going to out physical the Heat in a series.
Well, if OG is healthy, is OG as big
fair.
as Bam?
Yeah, no, that's fair. And that is a brand new component to the team that didn't exist last year.
Yep.
But again, if you go down, the Celtics, who are killing everybody, nobody thinks they're going to out physical any team in the playoffs, right? Like this is a finesse team. They're going to shoot the ball at you. They're not going to just, sort of batter and bruise you. And then, of course, Milwaukee, who I think like Brook Lopez and Giannis, these are legitimate physical guys, but I don't know why we should have the confidence that by the time the playoffs come, their offense will round in such a well-oiled machine that they can exploit these kind of size weaknesses that other opponents might have. So I don't know that it'll even come up, is what I'm saying.
I think the Knicks are the most compelling of those teams.
Yes.
In part, not just because of the physicality, but what they can do on the offensive glass.
Yes.
That's where I would be worried if I were in Miami's position.